Welcome back to the new Atlantis Show, collaboration between Days of the East and Maldo's Magic. On this episode, we'll go over or comb over some books. I have quotations by Benjamin Franklin, quotations by George Washington, and quotations by Theodore Roosevelt. So the first one to open it up, I was just combing over before, and I saw this one, and I was like, wow, this is some good stuff. So Benjamin Franklin says, content makes poor men rich. Discontent makes rich men poor.
It's a bar. Which one makes them happy?
I didn't read that far into it.
I mean, low expectations or lack thereof of expectations can definitely make somebody content. But what's
That makes sense. So being content,
right?
So being content, like, so now you may not have all the riches in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're content, meaning you're not coming from a place of lacks, no matter what you have, that makes you rich.
Yeah.
If you're a rich man and you have discontent, it makes you poor. Because you have all this stuff and you're never happy. You're discontent. You're not
happy.
Not content with what you have. You want more. Greed.
So which version of the two do you think honors your creator the greatest?
Being content.
Being content, you think? So I will take the latter on this one, simply because if you don't attain the greatest version of yourself, are you really honoring your creator, right? A ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are to do.
Mm-hmm.
Show me a knight in shining armor.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you he's never been battle tested. Are you living your purpose?
But, who judges if you live in your purpose or not? Only you know, right?
I mean, in theory, you would want to be a living example, no? I mean, self-preservation is the objective throughout life. You want to be able to survive until tomorrow. But is anybody going to write about your story?
Well, as Benjamin Franklin says, life's tragedy is that we get old too soon and wise too late.
Okay. What do you get from that?
That we go through life and it takes us a while to kind of get stuff. Sometimes we go through it, we're learning. By the time we gain the wisdom, we're already old. So
Mm-hmm.
so is it in a sense telling you that, like it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. So meaning if you're out there seeking items that are going to be abiding with your purpose, right,
Mm-hmm.
in life and gaining wisdom, then hopefully you'll gain it before time is too late, and that you'll have enough time to
Put it in practice?
Put it in practice and use that wisdom.
I agree. What about my man Jorge Washington?
Yeah, take it.
All right. I hope I shall always possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man.
Wow. The character of an honest man.
Mm-hmm.
What is the character of an honest man? What does that mean?
Well, I think so. Let's go to the first part of it, right? I hope I shall always possess firmness and virtue enough. So virtue, right? Understanding your purpose and being so solid in your character that, maybe inconsistent time. Like your character doesn't change from circle to circle. Your character doesn't change based on, what the day presented itself. Like you have morals that will withstand any type of conflict.
I see. So it's like I'm not just honest when I'm in lodge, right?
Right.
I'm not just honest when I'm in my spiritual groups, and then when it comes to being at 7-Eleven or the bank, I'm dishonest. So it's like, I guess it's like learning to have that fortitude to be virtuous and righteous within your character throughout any situation in life.
Yeah, like there's another quote that's similar to that. It's like, circumstance does not dictate responsibility. So you could have. It could be snowing out. Oh, I'm not coming into work because it's snowing. You have a responsibility to go to work, right? The circumstance doesn't change the responsibility. 10 minutes late. Oh, the train was late.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you're virtuous to your commitments, and you honor those commitments. I think is very. It goes hand in hand with what I was telling you the other day about being predictable.
Oh yeah.
I could always predict you to be on time. And with that predictability comes circumstance. I'm not circumstance. Opportunity. You'll be put in positions where opportunity is prevalent because you were able to be predictable enough to be reliable. If I could predict this person to start a fight, I'm not going to invite him
I see.
to the party all the time because this guy's reckless.
Yeah.
But if you're honorable and time again you can prove that, I could predict you to be virtuous.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense. So back to Benjamin Franklin. He says that wise men don't need advice. Fools won't take it.
I don't know if I agree with that. Wise men don't need advice? Well, how'd you gain wisdom?
But gaining wisdom not necessarily means you gain it from think about advice. So I need your advice on this subject. That doesn't mean that means that you're looking for the opinions of others to validate something, right? It doesn't mean that you're looking for advice to learn. Advice is like, I need your advice whether I should apply for this job or continue my relationship with this person. You just maybe want the person to agree with something maybe you have deep inside about the person or the thing that you think you want to do. You're trying to find advice, but if you're wise men don't need advice. Do you understand why? Because what makes a wise man? A wise man is someone that's taking discipline to put the work in to learn.
I think it's still advice, but I think it changes. So, advice would mean that you need some sort of suggestion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody who is getting advice, they're looking at it as, okay, I'm going to take what you're saying and I might put it into practice or I might not. If you're telling that to a wise man, it's not advice anymore. It may be just direction. So it changes that, or not direction, or it
would
could.
A wise man ask for advice? Like
that's what I'm saying. It's not advice. It's maybe instruction.
But he wrote of advice. Mm-hmm. This is the words of Benjamin Franklin.
Mm-hmm. But it's not literal in a sense, right? Because it's a quote. So it is some interpretation that has to be had. So again, like it's like a GPS. Or if am I asking for directions, or am I asking you for the way? For a wise man, I'm asking you for the way. For an unwise man, I'm asking for directions. So one can be interpreted, and you can veer off the path. I need just a general direction. Where a wise man, it's not directions anymore. It's the way, because I'm not going to stray from it. So it ceases to be advice, maybe? I don't know. But I don't agree with a wise man. It's not advice, because you're always going to take into accountability that there's a different way other than your own.
Oh, you're going to like the next one then.
Go ahead, hit me.
The Constitution only gives people the right to pursue happiness. Mm-hmm. You have to catch it yourself.
I agree with that. Like a lot of people think the American way is you have equality in the end result. Like everybody should get this, as opposed to everybody has the ability to get this. You have somebody who's born short, you have somebody who's born tall.
Yeah.
The guy who's born tall can reach the cereal box off the top of the refrigerator.
Yeah.
The short guy can't.
Mm-hmm.
But because you live in America, you might have to work a little bit harder and go to the garage and get a ladder. America says there's an opportunity for you to reach that.
Yeah.
You just got to put in a little bit more of the work. So, yeah, the pursuit of happiness is your right. the attainment of it is the effort that you put forth in acquiring that happiness.
Yeah, so Constitution gives you the right to pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you to pursue it.
You gotta pursue it.
Yeah.
I agree. I concur. What you got? What you got?
Lend money to an enemy, and thou will gain him. To a friend, and thou will lose him.
It's true. All right, this one. It is impossible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible. What do you think?
Yeah. How are you gonna govern the world without the holy word and without God? God is
I like how they separated the two, though,
Oh, go ahead.
because God is obviously the person that you believe in, the higher power, your creator.
Mhm.
So you need to, very similar to the fraternity we belong to, you have to believe in a God. Now, it separates the Holy Bible, because it could have just said God, right? Because who wrote the Bible?
Mhm.
And many people argue that that's the word of God.
Yeah.
But it separates it. If it was just, you can't rule or govern the world without God, that would have included the Bible, but it separates it. So it takes the Bible and it almost puts the Bible as its own book of instructions.
Okay.
So it's not to be followed as religion, more as moral law, this way of life. So that's very interesting to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's pretty. That just shows you, how much I think his Masonic roots are, right?
Right.
With the being,
Because I'm not saying that, it says God. God is God.
yeah.
Doesn't give a name. It's just God. Similar to mom and dad,
Mhm.
But the Bible itself, to be Christ-like in your actions. Not to follow Christ, but follow the action part of it. You know what I mean?
The
Like you might not have
behaviors,
you might not have to acknowledge Christ
Mhm.
if you don't believe in him. But by walking like him and being Christ-like,
You kind of would have to believe to
Right.
walk by, right?
I mean, there's certain musical composers
Yeah.
that I may not like how they conduct themselves, but they
Okay.
make great music.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know
You
the
didn't
lyrics.
like how you conduct yourself.
Right? I'm not gonna walk like
Yeah.
this person, this artist. I'm not gonna conduct myself that way, but I may know all the lyrics to their songs. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. That does.
Interesting.
There's some good ones. Wow. Genius without education is like silver in the mine.
Yeah, that's a bar. That's a bar. Because, it's just in its raw form. It's not a piece of jewelry.
You could be genius, but you need the education.
Because it harnesses it and it puts it into action. Education puts genius into action, or a workable, something that's workable that you could work with.
Mhm.
Because, I may know how to build a building. I may know how to draw blueprints and stuff like that. But if I can't work the construction equipment to actually erect this edifice,
Okay.
what's it worth? Like, I'm great at painting pictures, but I can't take it from paper to real life.
So you're saying that the education helps you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It familiarizes yourself with the process of genius.
And it's almost safe to say that these are items that have been tested and throughout history, and that's a reason why, they've been successful. So it's like you're replicating successful things.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's taking thought and putting thought into action.
Okay.
Anybody could think of these grand things, but you have to be able to also put them into action and produce results, right?
Yeah.
You put Franklin in bed?
I'm putting Franklin to bed for now. I'm going to maybe look at some Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
And then go into some deeper stuff, some Manly P. Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's get the classics first.
Some of this old English language, bro. It's hard. It's a hard read.
Really? Yeah, especially his time, right?
See right here. No man who is profligate? Profligate?
Prolific?
No,
Oh,
it's not
I can't
prolific.
Oh.
Anyway, profligate? I don't know. Profligate probably seems right. No man who is profligate, forgive me for butchering that one, in his morals or a bad member of civil community can possibly be a true Christian or a credit to his own religious society. So again, it separates Christ-like behavior from religion. It really shows how back in the day, especially like in on this side of the pond, the separation between a person and their actions and religion itself. That always interested me because in certain things, it says, to honor your God, but also in a certain manuscript, if you follow these instructions and walk like such, you'll have, virtue. So it takes that person and says, follow this, follow those morals, and you'll be something respectable.
Yeah, it's interesting because Jefferson, right? Thomas Jefferson, he's one that signs the Declaration of Independence, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had his own Bible, the Jefferson Bible.
Right, and everything was...
He took out, it only kept, I think, what Jesus said.
Exactly, only Jesus' teachings.
Yeah. This is a famous Theodore Roosevelt one. There is a homely old adage which runs, speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far.
Yeah.
He's well known for that one.
It's like right here. To prepare for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace. Being a warrior in a garden is better than being a gardener in a war.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Goes back to the last episode, balance between severity and mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when to use that Mars energy, knowing when to use that merciful energy of Jupiter. The worst of all fears is the fear of living. Whew. A lot of people are scared of living.
Well, that goes back to the other one. Benjamin Franklin said that you were saying earlier about, being content or not content. Being content, are you actually living?
Yeah, a poor man that's content is rich, and a discontent rich man is poor.
What about this one? Mankind, when left to themselves, are unfit for their own government.
Yeah.
How do you interpret that one?
Ordo ab chaos. Order from chaos, because as much as people think that, government is out to get them and not good, but you need structure in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if without structure, humanity is sometimes they're not known to be as virtuous naturally. Sometimes they're all about survival of the fittest, right? Just getting mine, helping my people out, taking what they want just to survive. So they'll do grave things just to survive when it's almost
it's not really freedom. Like you think absence of law is freedom, right? When it's not, because you need structure in order to be free.
Yeah.
And freedom a lot of times is not being anxious to go out into the world, right? Safety, freedom and safety are hand in hand, right? But what I get from this is mankind, when left to themselves,
Mm-hmm.
that's singular, right? When mankind is by himself, you're unfit for their own government. Now, what's government used for? To rule the greater whole, right?
Yeah.
Rule or serve. Government is to serve the people.
Mm-hmm.
So mankind left to themselves. If you're in this just for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to be fit for the whole. If you're doing things and creating laws that benefit your own growth,
Yep.
you're not fit for government because you're never going to truthfully serve the entire whole of your people, you know? So any selfish politician
Mm-hmm.
who is in politics for their own well-being, you're not fit for government.
Yeah. You're there for the people.
Right.
The leader works in the open and the boss in covert. The leader leads and the boss drives.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's like the coach and the starting quarterback, you know?
Mm. To borrow a smile from the football field, we believe that men must play fair, but that there must be no shirking and that the success can only come to the player who hits the line hard.
Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. What do you think about that?
Hear that sound?
Yeah. It's a ghost.
The ghost of Alcyone.
Ooh. Sounds like the heat.
Yeah, possibility.
What was the let's get into some Manly P Hall.
Yeah. It's time to go deep.
Now, what's the book that you're quoting?
So, this book is called The Lost Keys of Freemasonry by Manly P. Hall.
Manly P Hall was a Mason, or
Manly P. Hall, he wasn't a Mason in the beginning of his career, so he wrote a lot of different books about masonry, did a lot of research, and then he became a Mason after. But he definitely was big into astrology. He basically put together a movie called When Were You Born? Black and white movie about astrology solving a crime. But he's well known for The Secret Teachings of the Ages. The book is like an 800-page book. Talks about all the mystery schools throughout the ages, and a number of other books. He left Theosophical Society, his own society. I think it's called the PRA. I think
okay.
I'm butchering it right now. But he has his own society in California, and I think it's in like L.A. area, Pasadena, down there. And basically, a lot of people go there and do lectures now. But his own philosophical society.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when he left, and so many books. He's done so many lectures. Well known and well respected author and esotericist and occultist.
Very good. I think you might have to adjust your mic a little bit closer to you, so it's like actually in the direction. Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
All right.
All right. Just flip through it. You're not combing over. You gotta comb over that thing.
Oh, okay.
Flip through it and just pull out something.
Yeah. His daily life in home, business, and society, together with the realization of the fundamental unity of each with all, form the base upon which the aspiring candidate may raise a greater superstructure. In truth, he must live the life, the result of which is the purification of his body, so that the more attenuated forces of the higher degrees may express themselves through the finer sensitivity of the receiving pole within himself.
So just to put some backstory, if I may, this book highlights certain teachings that are Masonically themed. The regular guy wakes up, brushes his teeth, takes a shower, goes into work. From start to finish, there's a whole bunch of other things, miracles that are happening, God's creations. You walk past a tree growing, a bird feeding its young, the small little things in life that we kind of walk by and really don't appreciate. A bird flying, flight itself is a miracle. Just being born is a miracle. Am I wrong? Like the complex things that have to happen for life to exist. The ratios that have to be met for gravity to be just perfectly tuned for life on this planet. I mean, we're a rock hurling through space violently, and we're not running into anything. Everything is so balanced. That miracle that happens for life just to be possible. To appreciate that beauty, a lot of these esoteric books shed light on, and kind of put in perspective in a way that the human mind can rationalize with it the miracles, and it generates an appreciation. A lot of people just wake up and go and they're depressed. But when you can walk from start to finish, from waking up to going back to sleep, and see what miracle it is just to exist, it causes a certain type of appreciation. To try to put into perspective the hard work the Creator or the God or whatever you believe in put forth, it's truly a marvelous thing. So a lot of these books try to put in perspective the creative forces that all come into unison to create this thing called life, and to try to define it, put like a definition on it, on what's happening. What is happening when you turn the light switch on and boom, now you can see. So a lot of these books beautifully articulate the day-to-day life. It's not just waking up, punching a clock, going to work, and then punching out, and then cooking dinner and going home. You hit a switch, you have fire. There's a whole bunch of things that happen on your day-to-day that we kind of take for granted, and being able to tap into that creative force and produce your own inventions or your own thoughts, or just the beauty of communicating back and forth from individual to individual. These books put in perspective on how to tap into certain things or how to be more aligned with your Creator. Was that wonderfully put, or what?
Yeah, that's great. No, you're right, because it's a good way of saying it. Like, we take stuff for granted, and it's obviously he's pertaining to the deepest symbolisms of Freemasonry, right? And what the sacred art is, and I guess how he explains it in a way that we can understand what it is and what we're going through, and we're preparing for it, with going through it, and then being raised to a master mason. So I think he does it so eloquently, but the way he explains it, it's just, it excites you to be proud of the craft, really.
But that's like, that comes also too from living in wonder. If you don't say anything right now, and you literally just tell yourself, man, I'm hungry. Well, you think to yourself, I'm hungry. What voice is that? To always be seeking consciousness and what it means to be conscious, or just be present. It's it adds a wonder to life that really makes life beautiful, and you start to appreciate everything, the ups, the downs, all of it. What is happening when you're thinking to yourself? What voice is that? What language is that? When you were a baby and you wanted a bottle of milk, or you needed to be changed, there was a thought process from that thought to crying. In between that, you had a thought. What do I have to do to gain an attention and obtain the desired result? New diaper, or a bottle of milk, or whatever it may be. Fear, the thought, I am scared, I'm going to cry as a child, or standing up and going like this because you wanted to be picked up and comforted. There's a creative force and there's a creative thought that goes along with that. What voice is that? At that point in time, I didn't know language. That's why I'm crying. I'm not saying words. What language was that that's happening when you're thinking? What are you telling yourself? What did you think about to evaluate the situation and say, okay, what action do I need to do in order to get the desired result? Was that too aggressive?
No, it's good. I want to pull up a psychological experiment.
Mm-hmm. This is where commercials. We have a budget for commercials. If anybody, this is a perfect time. We cue in like a Doritos commercial or something.
Okay, so what you're touching on is this. It's interesting, like you said, when you said the baby picking up, that got me to talk about a well-known psychological experiment involving monkeys, right? So
monkeys,
right?
You said monkeys.
You know what? It was a hyphen. So I was like, wait, what? Monkeys. All right. So involving monkeys, the Harlow's monkey experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So he conducted it with a monkey, right? So they put basically, it wanted to see if for mammals, right, for beings, do we strive more for nourishment or comfort?
What's the difference?
So how they did it was they had a basically stuffed animal monkey, and they gave it milk, like had it so they could get milk from it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had they had one that was just metal and bottle of milk for nourishment, and then one no milk, just the fluffiness of
the comfort.
So the comfort. So the baby monkey was more concerned about being on, and it stood on it more when it was just without the milk. So it's not nourishment that we crave. It's the comfort of the touch, the connectivity, and that is more important to us than nourishment, than food.
It's a love. It's the art of love, I think. In my opinion, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it says demonstrating the importance of comfort and contact over basic needs like nourishment in social development. So I just thought that was interesting because it was interesting when I took the psychology degree. So much stuff. Psychology is amazing. The different experiments that they have and they replicated to really go and touch on like what moves our psyche, and masonry and all these esoteric groups and thoughts. It's another way to like discover your psyche, right, and discover ways to initiate your psyche
and discipline over
and
that.
Discipline,
right?
Yeah.
That it could be toxic in a way, right? If you're seeking that physical comfort over nourishment, that's also that's counterproductive to survival, right? Think about it. And if self-preservation is the objective to continue on, how many times have you stayed either in a toxic relationship or in a toxic environment because it offered you that comfort?
There you go.
And not the nourishment that you needed.
Yeah, you're right.
It's almost like you need that healing, right?
Yeah, because we strive more for contact and comfort more than nourishment.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so meaning that's why it's like you need vitamins, right? But the cigarette feels better.
Yeah,
that's
you're
why
right.
people smoke the cigarette.
Yep.
So I'll be like, like this one. It says, the true master mason enters his lodge with one thought uppermost in his mind. How can I, as an individual, be of a greater use in the universal plan?
Mm.
Where can I do, what can I do to be worthy to comprehend the mysteries which are unfolded here?
I mean, it goes back to that quote about content.
Okay, how so?
And then, so you said the what would you say again? It was the rich man is
So, okay, the content, a poor man that's content
rich.
is rich.
A rich man who's not content is poor.
A rich man who's discontent,
Discontent.
With discontent becomes poor.
Right. So I think you the byproduct of that though is you're rich or poor, right? If you're looking at as an outsider looking in.
Mhm.
So the individual who's content is rich, right? In short, and then so you're content, you're rich. But if an outsider's looking in, it's like, what did he do with his life? He was content. He really didn't do anything. So the perspective may be that I'm looking at this guy like he never did anything.
Mhm.
It's not a life I would want to live. This guy died poor. He might have felt full because he had, low expectations for certain things, and he hasn't acquired much in life. He thinks he's rich and he's happy, but he lived his whole life in safety and he really didn't do anything. And then the rich guy who was discontent, he became rich because of the discontent, because he was always striving and acquiring things or producing results. Like you got a young kid who may have worked, and while his friends were out partying and doing everything that they had to do, he bought a house, he bought this, he bought that, and he had all of these things, but he still wasn't happy. So then he quit his job, became an entrepreneur, or whatever those things that he valued. He went from goal to goal to goal to goal, and he kept going because he was discontent. The byproduct of it was he's viewed as he's rich because he's got so much. He's got so much on his plate, all of these things that he's done. So if you're not serving your purpose, or you're not living your purpose, or you're trying to acquire the best version of yourself, you're kind of discontent.
Yeah, see, but now you're saying that you're correlating
Mm-hmm.
being content or being discontent, meaning not satisfied for material gain,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying that because a person that on the external is being viewed by they were content with little,
Mm-hmm.
makes them poor. They didn't really do anything. But either way, the pawn and the king go back to the box at the end of the game. So, okay, so what? You gained all this stuff, but you can't take it with you. So that's what I'm trying to say. So
okay,
don't look at material gain
I like
as
that.
as a. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
No, I'm not saying material gain. Well, so you said something great. You said
rich
something great
go
there.
ahead.
You said the king and the pawn go back in the box.
Same box at
Same
the end of the
box,
game.
Same
Yeah.
box. But depending on who goes in the box first determines the length of the game. No?
Yeah.
And why are you playing the game?
Yeah, but it's just trying to say that we're all on the level.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All on the level. I agree with
Yeah.
that 1,000%.
That's what it's really trying to say.
And I'm not confusing content with material gain or monetary value or anything. I'm
Rich
saying
man,
expectation. Expectation. For me, a person who is rich is a person who is valuable in any system. And when I say valuable, I mean useful. Like people hate being used, but then you're not valuable. Use me. What do you need? You got this, you got that, you need that. Okay, I like being the person who's dependable and the most used with appreciation, though. So
It's a caveat, right
it is
there.
a caveat. So because that's draining too. If you're used, and there's no appreciation with that, then it's kind of it's not conducive to your growth.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
I'm just
All right.
I'm just saying. Forgive my lyrics.
But then that goes back to, like, if you're being humble, then you shouldn't really want to be at appreciation or
Humble.
recognize. You shouldn't really want to.
But I
give-
could be humble.
Yeah.
I may be humble in action, but not in thought. And I think that is probably the mark of a dangerous man. Because if I'm humble in action, I'm disciplined in thought. Because to be humble, you have to recognize that you're great. But, you're not exercising or expressing that greatness. You're just kind of like shoving it off like it wasn't a big deal. There has to be an acknowledgement that greatness had just been had just happened. Right?
Do you think Napoleon needed acknowledgement, or his acknowledgement was just taking over stuff, and how he, how he took over the energy in the rooms? Like,
Yeah, but he wasn't humble. Napoleon was humble?
Well, I never said that.
That's what
I'm
I'm
just trying to
saying.
say that sometimes you don't need sometimes it's not having appreciation. It's what makes people work harder. This would go back to, like, the discontent with the situation. You could be discontent with your current situation, and so that you could strive to work harder to live in a life that you could be more content about.
Well, I mean, it all depends on appreciation and acknowledgement and how it's viewed in your psyche. To me, I utilize that as an endpoint. Okay, my job here is done. It's appreciated. Next great thing, or on to the next adventure, or on to the next goal. My work here is done. I stayed enough. I don't need to continue here. And then, it goes on. Appreciation, though, can be a deadly drug, though, because you can go down that path where it's just, I'm only going where I'm appreciated, and it becomes self-worship, or I have to sit with that one a little bit.
Yeah, you should sit with that one.
I don't. You say, yeah, you should.
All
sit
right,
with
so
that
I'll come
one.
over to the next one, but it was good. So,
Too much.
the entered apprentice may be termed a materialistic degree. The fellowcraft is religious and mystical, while the master mason is occult or philosophical. Each of these is a degree in the unfoldment of a connected life and intelligence, revealing in ever fuller expression the gradual liberation of the master from the triangular cell of threefold negation, which marks the early stage of individualization.
So just to touch on that, Manly P. Hall wrote this book prior to him being a Mason.
I don't know that. I don't know if it was this book.
I'm
Oh, okay.
almost
So this one.
99.5% sure he wrote that prior to him being a Mason. So
Okay.
this is all his interpretation of
Yeah, of course.
Masonic beliefs and teachings and stuff like that. I say that to say this: we're going to approach that in the same way.
Yeah.
So this is not us being members of this great fraternity dissecting this book. This is us through his lens.
Yes, just combing over, reading his book.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right,
This
so-
is just his opinion. Thank you for the disclaimer.
Right. So one more time. I'm just kidding. What'd you get from that?
Well, so now he says, and the EA may be termed as a materialistic degree. I guess. I don't know if I agree with that as much.
Is it materialistic because of what though? What is prior to that? What's the paragraph prior to that? If you could summarize it.
Oh, it says it's basically the chapter of the fellowcraft, so it's kind of like the last point, and there was like five senses and stuff, right? They're kind of talking about some stuff within the fellowcraft degree, right? So that's at this point.
Why does he deem it materialistic? Is my question.
You know, see, this is the one thing about Kormanova.
Mm-hmm.
You would probably have to go to the chapter of the EA degree where he
Ah.
explains why it's materialistic.
Fair enough.
But you know, I'm pretty sure there's some things that you're learning to do within the quarries, right? That could be seen as materialistic.
Well, it's materialistic is valuing the
Well, he says termed a materialistic degree.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. So, if you're materialistic,
You're all about solid stuff, forms, solid forms, something within this realm.
got it. So you have to understand what you're working with. So is that why it's deemed a materialistic degree? And in that degree, you're understanding what you're working with.
Rough ashore.
Prior to, so you're acknowledging the work, the material right now, and it's knowledge of that. Not so much what it takes to work the material, but knowledge of the material. Striking it too hard will make it unworkable. You have to gently. It's not work. It's not knowledge of the tools. It's knowledge of the material.
Think about the working tools you're using too.
Exactly.
Those are working tools to keep you balanced within this life first, right?
Right.
And then he says that the fellowcraft is religious and mystical.
Mm-hmm. Well, so think about mystical, right? In those teachings, from what I understand, liberal arts and sciences and the subject matter of understanding environment and what's going on around you. I can understand that.
Yeah. Even the scripture reading too.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty mystical. And then now he says that this one I highly agree with.
Mm-hmm.
The Master Mason is occult or philosophical.
Mm-hmm.
So an occult, for those, the viewers, occult means hidden in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
It people think it's a negative connotation. Oh, the occult. It just means the hidden. It's the hidden teachings, right? Which could be Kabbalah, right? Could be tarot. Hidden teachings that you don't learn every day. But he says it's occult or philosophical. So it could be either or.
Okay. And philosophical, what's your definition?
Philosophical is it means like the love for studying knowledge and stuff.
So could it be interpreted as at this point in time you've received knowledge of the material, you've received knowledge of arts, and it's putting those both together, and the ability to translate it into instruction and also receive instruction, the understanding of both. Because if I can know the material and I can know how to use the tools, but if I can't receive instruction, I can't produce a final product that's useful in life, right?
Yeah, I think
Am I digging?
I guess you have to know the basics, learn the ropes to navigate within this material realm. Learn the arts, you're saying, like the mystical aspects of items, to be able to have fertile ground to understand the deeper mysteries or philosophical.
You want to get that cough out, bro?
Sometimes the kava and kratom.
Yeah.
I'll tear it up here.
The goose makes you loose.
The goose makes you loose. Dropping stuff left and right.
Because I could know how to build an engine. I could know how to put in a car, but if I don't know how to drive the car, putting everything together. Still alive?
So you're saying you could know how to build an engine?
Still going. Get it out, bro. You need a good cough. You sipping each one, or you mix them?
Oh, I did the kratom first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the kava I've been doing after.
Got it.
And then probably after that I'll get another kratom,
Okay.
Because it helps with my back and stuff.
Roger. All right. So, what's the purpose of that? If you could just put it all together for us.
Purpose of?
What you just wrote. I mean, read, not wrote. Because there was like a eureka moment after you read it, and I want to put that on wax. You said first, second, third degree, and then you said the interpretation of the occult and philosophical elements of the master.
Yeah. So by the time, all right.
Go
So
ahead.
you have to understand the materialistic part, right? The solid stuff. Know what you're crafting, know what you're forming in the first degree, right? And then the second degree, you learn the arts and the mystical applications of the arts, right? Because it goes from the basic understanding all the way up to like astronomy and music, and some stuff that you can't really touch, right?
Right.
So it gets mystical in a way, right? The way music ignites you to war, right? So
I like that.
right? So it's there. It's all there, but you have to want to mouth those things. You have to have the eyes to see, right? And the ears to hear. And then so by the time you get this, you're preparing the fertile ground. So by the time you get to the Mass Mason degree, you could be ready and prepared to understand the occult, meaning the hidden mysteries within all 3 degrees, or, he says, the philosophical.
Yeah. And the philosophical goes hand in hand with instruction or thoughts and being able to remove the veil and understand what is truly being said. Correct? Or not?
Philosophical is
What
the
do you
way,
mean by philosophical?
being philosophical, you need to understand rhetoric. You need to understand logic.
Right.
To be able to philosophize, right? You have to, if you don't have those basic foundations, those basic liberal arts, it's going to be hard for you to understand Aristotle. I don't know if you ever read Aristotle.
Yep.
This stuff is deep, bro, but he's the guy that taught Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
So think about it. If he taught him, and look what he did.
Yep.
So that's the power of philosophy. That's the power of being able to learn the liberal arts, and then now learn it in the philosophical way, because you had the basics, you had the elementary school.
Right.
Now it's time to get to university.
Let me see that thing. Oh, I don't want to lose a page over here.
No, that's all right.
You read this whole book?
Yeah, a couple times.
All right.
This is the type of stuff I was reading before I became a Mason.
Right.
Like I've always had these books.
Your creed and your craft demand the best that is in you. They demand the sanctifying of your life, the regeneration of your body, the purification of your soul, and the ordination of your spirit. Yours is glorious. Yours is the glorious. Yours is the divine responsibility. Accept your task and follow in the footsteps of the master masons of the past, who with flaming spirit of the craft have illuminated the world. You have great privilege, the privilege of an illuminated labor. You may know the ends to which you work, while others must struggle in the darkness. Your labors are not to be confined to the tiled lodge alone, for masons must radiate the qualities of his craft. Its light must shine in his home and in his business, glorifying his association with his fellow men, in the lodge and out of the lodge. The masons must represent the highest fruitage of sincere endeavor.
That goes back to what we said before. Like, it's like you need to be able to not just like George Washington's quote. Like he wants to strive to live that virtuous, honest life of his character. Meaning live it, not just in Masonry, but be the light in every circumstance of his life.
I mean, it's like church or any other order that kind of induces purifying intention and wanting to be a servant to society. If you have the power to do good things, have the wherewithal to do good things, right?
Right. I like this one. Thoughtlessness. Sometimes, before the end of his chapters, he has like a little quotation, and it's a long one, but it's good. It says, The noblest tool of the mason is his mind, but its value is measured by the use made of it. Thoughtful in all things, the aspiring candidate to divine wisdom attains reality in sincere desire, in meditation, and in silence. Let the key note of the craft and of the ritual be written in blazing letters. Think of me. What is the meaning of this mystic maze of symbols, rites, and rituals? Think. What does life mean? With the crisscrossing of human relationships, the endless pageantry of qualities, masquerading in a carnival of fools. Think. What is the plan behind it all? Who the planner? Where dwells the grand architect? And what is the tracing board upon which he designs? Think. What is a human soul, and why the endless yearning to ends unknown along pathways where each must wander unaccompanied? Why mind? Why soul? Why spirit? And in truth, why anything? Think. Is there an answer? If so, where will the truth be found? Think, brothers of the craft, think deeply, for if truth exists, you have it. And if truth be within the reach of living creature, what other goal is worth the struggle?
So what do you get from that? What do you get?
I'm the one ready. What did you get from it? He's really saying think.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I think it's the power to think.
Well, that it goes
Right?
into free will and the blessing and also the curse that it is to the human soul. For a large percentage of history, people were told what to do and what to think,
Mm-hmm.
and don't question it. To be a free-thinking individual is one of the most, again, rewarding things, but it's also, the biggest curse. Knowing where you're pulling these thoughts from, to be out there and to question anything and everything, it's your responsibility. I mean, you're born into this world with free will, allegedly. Why not put it in practice? Think. And in thinking, you will find the beauty that life is. If you're doing it right. Again, if you're around, certain people, or if you're around the group that can rationalize behavior, life isn't as stressful. You're driving down the freeway. I use this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're driving around the freeway. Somebody cuts you off. Naturally, there's some type of anger that comes from that. Like, who does this guy think he is? Why is his journey more important than me? He just cut me off. He did this erratic behavior. Now, to rationalize that and say, and remain optimistic, maybe he's on his way to the hospital. His wife might be giving birth. Maybe he is, in the process of having a medical emergency. What's going on? You can rationalize that behavior into something that is not as cancerous to your thought, and therefore backed by a physical behavior that's irrational, cutting him off, and now just creating a moment in time that can be harmful to you, and can cause things later on in life, or that could just be a moment in time and not a timeless moment. That guy cuts you off. All right, that's it. He's done. Now he cuts you off. You cut him off. Flip him the bird. He flips you the bird. Now all day you're talking about this guy who you don't know.
Yeah.
And has turned a bad 30 seconds into a bad day now because it just affected the rest of your life. Or God forbid you wrap the car up, or it can be a chain reaction that can cause things that are detrimental to your health later on in life, just because you didn't look the other way. That small 5 seconds could affect the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So to rationalize it in a way where you don't become a prisoner to those thoughts, I guess that's the goal.
You're really talking about when that happens to me. Yeah, listen, you got to get to the point where someone cuts you off, really look into yourself and say, wait, before I start judging, have I done that before? Yeah, I have. I've cut people off before, right? So it's like they're being your mirror. They're showing you stuff that you've done to other people before,
Ah,
right?
okay.
They're
Yep.
showing you that, and you have to be able to be aware, think, like he says, to be aware, to see the mirror of the karmic reactions showing you what you've done to people, maybe in your younger years when you weren't as mature, as astute, right? As humble, you were more arrogant and prideful, right? You were in darkness, you didn't see the light yet.
Right.
So these people are being your mirrors sometimes. So that's one way to look at it, right? So all right, I'm not going to judge this person. They're in a rush. I've been there before. I've done that to someone. Let them go with blessings. Or you have free will. You can say,
Game on.
game on. Because, life, it's either way, what you put out always comes back to you. So, you might show mercy to a time when someone needed it, right? And then that might be a chain reaction of them now showing mercy.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. And then on the flip side of that too, if you don't make time for thought, you don't think about ways to kind of break the repetition, right? That Groundhog's Day of what life can be. Because a lot of times we choose comfort over uncomfort, and uncomfort is growth. So if you don't make an honest attempt to kind of break the cycle, you're just gonna keep living the same cycle. And if it works for you and you've built a happy life, okay, fine. But from what I've observed, a lot of people aren't happy with the repetition. Life becomes boring. Life becomes predictable. Life becomes what it is and not what it should be. So, make time, think about things, meditate, and really sit there and evaluate the day at the end of the day, and say, how could I have done it better? Or, am I really serving myself? Am I serving my creator? And focus on growth. Growth may be uncomfortable, but it's I think I use this word like 3 times today.
What?
It's imperative.
I don't think I heard you say that before.
Really?
Not today.
He's not paying attention to me.
Not today, Elmo.
That's great. Was that your first entrance into Masonic literature? That book?
No, I think it was Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma.
Oh, that's a tough read.
Yeah, I started with that. I never finished the one before I got into masonry, and then I know I got this book, and I started reading this before, and a couple of his other books as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Secret Teachings of the Ages. Because Secret Teachings is not really a Masonic book. Secret Teachings talks about all the mysteries that some believe that masonry stems from.
Mm-hmm.
Tries to emulate.
Well, I mean, from the little bit that I've read, it really highlights the connectivity of all things, right? So even in building a structure, a lot of these old buildings that were erected have sacred geometry and stuff like that, right? And it really focuses on making the structure one with the earth. And if you look at a lot of the calculations that the pyramids were made from, that's why they've been able to withstand the test of time, because now it becomes one structure with the earth, right? If I put a plate of food on top of that table and I flip the table, the plate and the food is going to go all over the place, right? But if I screw the plate down to the table and glue the food to the plate and I flip the table, nothing's really going to fall off, right? It's become one with the table. And let me see, what do you got?
I just thought, you don't have to read it, but if you look at it, look what his explanation is. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it holds true. A lot of times when you want, a lot of times the selfish things that you want to acquire are in fact the things that are going to be your downfall later on in life. and they don't allow you to obtain what you're really looking for, or even to be celebrated. Even when you take shortcuts and you win the race, let's say nobody knew you took the shortcut or you cheated, there's still kind of that feeling that you were trying to win the race, and there was some type of gratification you were seeking in being first. I don't think that you're happy in winning. Like, it's never really a win. It's even questionable on the internal.
Yeah, because you know how you won.
Exactly. So, did you ever really like try yourself? Did you ever really test yourself? Because having the greatest opponent is really what gives you that validation. Michael Jordan wouldn't be Michael Jordan unless he faced those opponents.
Oh, yeah.
The opponent is the thing. It's the test. Without the test, you're just a coach, you know?
Yeah.
Even, I mean, that's a bad analogy, but that greatest obstacle is the thing that's going to give you the reassurance or the validation that you are, in fact, the best.
In the fields of chaos, says the first flush of awakening life pierced the impenetrable expanse of cosmic night, turning the darkness of negation into the dim twilight of unfolding being.
Again, deep.
Silhouetted against the shadowy gateways of eternity, the lonely figure of a mystic stranger stood upon the nebulous banks of swirling substance.
That's a lot, brother.
That's not even.
That's a lot.
That's not even.
That's a lot, man.
That's only like 2 sentences.
This is not here. This is not the time or place. Were there any punctuations in that?
That was literally 2 sentences in a paragraph, and there's
It's a lot. That's why Pike, bro, Pike.
Oh, Pike is deeper.
Pike is deep. He could say, "Hey, how are you?" And there's 50 words in that whole thing back and forth. Let me see that real quick.
It's on the second page there. Yeah, Pike was. Oh my god.
The first flush of awakening.
Yeah.
Life pierce the impenetrable expanse of the cosmic night, turning the darkness of negation into the dim twilight of the unfolding being. In short, God said, "Let there be light," and there was.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say.
No, yeah. But it just sounds so like.
It's eloquent.
Yeah, eloquently, like it makes you what think, like wow, this is like, but it goes back to what you said. Sometimes we take this stuff for granted.
Yeah.
Sometimes we oversimplify things because we take it for granted, and because we don't want it to go too crazy. When it's like, it's a lot of stuff running to get you up. Like,
but yeah, but in efforts to. You can't miss your mark, and when you're trying to deliver certain things, so you want to kind of trim the fat as much as possible and not leave it up to interpretation. This is what exactly I mean, and this is what I want you to get out of it. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. They want to dumb things down. Our attention span,
now it's like that.
I think before
back
it was like
in his
that.
time and Pike's time, it was serious. There was no internet. There was no.
But what back in that time, well, Pike and Hall are about 100 years different. Like, there's a span.
Well, yeah, Pike was during the Civil War.
Right.
So what is that, 1840s?
Yeah, I mean, right? I'm not a historian by any means.
Around, you want to research. Around 18, around there.
And Hall, I think he died in the 70s. Manly P. Hall died in, like, the 70s. Like, he's
90s. He died in the 90s.
So, yeah, I mean, but he was, that's very far in between.
He's contemporary.
But you think about in the 1800s, there wasn't public school. How many people really...
Yeah, there's public schools. There's universities. Not like we have now.
No, those universities, that's a private school. You didn't have New York City, public school. You didn't have...
PS 103, right?
Yeah. That wasn't the year it came out, is what I'm saying. So what amount of the... of culture or society was literate enough to actually interpret this, This type of stuff was really meant just for people who were born into that thinking and understanding music and liberal arts and stuff like that. You didn't have people really... People were raised to be farmers, to be valuable parts of society. They weren't sitting here No, you went to Sunday school. You learned how to be obedient to a greater force, and that's it. You weren't sitting
Not
here.
apparently Albert Pike.
Well,
Well, he was
again,
also a general in the Confederate Army. He was a
right.
doctor as well.
Right.
So,
And these guys were, a lot of these guys studied abroad and things to that effect.
But
So
that's why it goes back to the quote from Benjamin Franklin. Once again, genius without education is like silver in a mine.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning, I was always against it. Like, what did I need to go to school for, right? I was always against, but I'm glad I went back to school because I learned so much.
Well, you also know, but that also goes hand in hand with the other part. It wasn't until I became a Mason where I understood really how I learn, and I sat with myself. And when you go into school, they just said, "All right, here, kindergarten.
Yep.
You're gonna learn how to write your name and all that stuff that comes with it." And it's kind of forced down your throat, and then you're learning in a group of 20 to 30 kids. So the general masses, you're not really focused on the individual. I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to really obtain information. I was getting it in bulk, and some things I gravitated to, some things I grasped, and some things I kind of was looking at the blinds outside and see what was going on. But as you get older and you realize how to learn, how to digest information, you can turn knowledge into wisdom. So you going back to school at how old?
I went. I just graduated, so about 4 years ago I went back to school. I had I went to did some classes and Dowling and Suffolk straight out of high school.
So again,
and then
how old?
Oh, let me back to my age. I guess what 30, 36.
That's a long time to be out of school and then to go back. Well, I don't know if you had any school in between, but
yeah,
your mind is a little bit more mature now. You're a little bit more able and willing, and the wanting of obtaining this information is different. Like you're more focused.
It was way easier, bro.
And that's what I'm saying. So
that was after going through different esoteric groups, different Rosicrucian bodies, where I was already learning like about these psychologists, learning about the philosophy, learning about science, everything. And I was like, wait. So when I went back to school, it was like it was easy. It was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it because I really enjoyed learning, and I had better focus and attention, and it was a better time. I was already past my 20s when I just partied and had a good time.
Right. So you got all of that out of your system and whatnot. But it goes back to digesting information and the delivery of it. If you're trying to put this stuff out there, they're putting down knowledge and all of these things. Even language is simplified now to the point where this is a message we want to get across because it's for people who probably aren't even ready to, they're not ready to be the students. So how are you gonna take all of this? Like this next passage I love. The true Masonic Lodge is a mystery school, a place where candidates are taken out of the follies and foibles of life and the world and instructed in the mysteries of life, relationships, and the identity of that germ of spiritual essence within, which is, in truth, the Son of God, beloved his Father. The Mason views life seriously, realizing that every wasted moment is a lost opportunity. To value time, that's people take time for granted. Memento mori. Like people really,
oh yeah,
they don't understand how important it is to seize the day. You only get so many times on this
people
planet.
always tell me, "Oh, tomorrow I'll take it." I'm like,
yeah,
you're not promised tomorrow.
No, not at all. I mean, I've and that's where lost.
There is no tomorrow. What was that Rocky 3? There is no tomorrow.
Yeah, no, seriously.
There is no tomorrow.
Seriously. I mean, like you have to experience loss to truly appreciate it. And if you're fully involved and conscious of today and the missed opportunities, you will seize it tomorrow. If you're lucky enough to seize it tomorrow. I've had friends who I've spent the last day on their planet here. I told you the story, and literally the day before or moments before, we're talking about what we're gonna do tomorrow and planning out the day.
Yeah.
And they never made it. And I'm like, man, that they spent today worrying about tomorrow, and they used up such a bulk of the day.
Yep.
Worried about something that they were never going to see.
Wow.
Instead of just, appreciating it like right now. So if you can really sit there and treat every moment like it's last, right? Chip away at the day and really just soak it all in. You truly won't have any wasted days. And even if it's your last day today, I hope you're happy with it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? You got to be happy with it because that was your last day. I have many beautiful moments with these individuals. What do I remember most? That one point in time, It's a shame. So, to really, really take advantage of that mindset, no wasted opportunities, no wasted days. Go into it. Don't be afraid to be a beginner.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they want to be a podcast sensation. It's all right. Just go into it. If you want to try to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
And then in time, you will hone your craft or hone your skill. Everybody was a beginner. Don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle or that finished product into your, from your starting product. Just go for it.
Yeah, I agree. I opened to this page. I thought this was nice because it kind of touches on a little stuff we were talking about. It says the quarries represent the limitless powers of natural resources. They are symbolic of the practically endless field of human opportunity. They symbolize the cosmic substances from which man must gather the stones for his temple.
So that could be looked at in many different ways.
Yeah, it says represents the limitless powers of natural resources, but he says also said they are symbolic of the practically endless field of human opportunity. They symbolize the cosmic substances from which man must gather the stones for his temple.
So opportunity. Well, it said limitless
powers of natural resources.
Okay, so natural resources are things that you can pick from. They're here already.
Yeah.
Now, what was the second part of that?
They are symbolic of the practically endless field of human opportunity. They symbolize the cosmic substances from which man must gather the stones for his temple.
So, again, limitless opportunities. What is an opportunity? It's a chance to go into whatever arena it is and obtain whatever you deem as the goal. So anything could be really looked at as an opportunity depending on what the goal is. Right? If you want to be a stand-up comedian, anything is an opportunity. If you want to be, a cook, anything is an opportunity, but you have to make it that opportunity, right? Hey, I'm going to throw a party next Friday. I want everybody to come through. You want to be a cook? That's your opportunity. You just made it. It wasn't just a get together. You can turn anything really into an opportunity if you sit and think and evaluate the whole thing and look at it as a chance to prove yourself. No?
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
yeah, everything it could be seen as opportunity. In CRMs, like programs, they have, you have a lead, and then once it goes into an opportunity, it's in a stage where it's a higher chance of them, maybe purchasing the product that you're selling. So, that's when it becomes more of an opportunity, rather than like a lead. A lead is like, all right, I got someone's name and number, but, unless they're sitting as an appointment, right? Then there's an opportunity.
Right.
There's an opportunity to convert it to something that's going to be best for both parties, right? You're providing a good and services.
Right. I like that. I think we're going to chop this one up.
Yeah.
I'm going to reset it because I want to touch actually on the new year. We still haven't even done that yet. You know what I mean?
All right.
All right. So we'll chop that one up.